What's up everybody, my name's Big Cam and welcome back to another Marvel 1/6 scale figure unboxing, and today we are continuing on because Halloween was just on Friday I believe, so this weekend I'm doing some spookier adjacent characters. I don't necessarily have any horror or scary figures, so I went with some like witches and wizards. So yesterday we did Sylvie from the Loki Disney Plus series, and today we are doing TVA Loki from the same Loki Disney Plus series. And I already have a Avengers Endgame 2012 Loki, which is, you know, Avengers 1 and Endgame Loki, so works for me. I still might want to get like a Ragnarok Loki. I might want to get the God of Stories Loki from the end of season 2, where this is more like season 1 Loki, I think. And the boy looks good. I do love me some Tom Hiddleston, and Loki is one of the oldest characters in the MCU and just an absolute legend. And like, he dies, he doesn't die, he's around, he's always gonna be there, you know? Like, I don't know what this guy's doing. He's always up to some type of mischief, right? But you can see on the cover here the TVA clock in the background, the TVA jacket he has on, more of just like a suited look for Loki. It says Loki down the bottom, more of the clock around the side, Loki on the side of the box. Hot Toys presents television masterpiece series Loki TMS 061. So this is 61, 62 is Sylvie. Legal information on the back. More gold trim on the side with like the sword. That was the same type of box design for Sylvie, but instead of Sylvie's eyes and pictures of Sylvie, it is Loki's eyes and pictures of Loki. Loki in orange on top of the box with a little bit of the TVA logo. Not going to waste any more time though. Let's slide off the top of this box. Ooh. Very interesting. What do we got here? We got some swords. We got... Oh, is that Miss Minutes? Hello, Miss Minutes. How about that? He's got maybe a computer? Maybe his own TVA device? Some flames? Cool looking character. The TVA logo on the back. Time Variance Authority for all time. Always. God, the TVA is so underutilized. Like, yeah, I know they came back in Deadpool and Wolverine with like Paradox in B-15s now, like Judge B-15, but like, I know they're not going to do the Kang stuff anymore, but don't you think there should be like an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. style Marvel Disney Plus show at the moment, where it's kind of like maybe they bring back the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. people and then they do like an Agents of the Time Variance Authority, you know, Agents of the TVA type of show, or, you know, like, I don't know, something like that would be cool. A show set in the TVA, just like a weekly, you know, series that runs like more like a cable television show with like 22 episode long seasons rather than 8 one-off episodes, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, I've been rewatching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. recently, and I've been really liking that, you know, the quality of the episodes aren't necessarily there and high every level, but the storytelling is still there, and you're able to sit and deal with these characters' emotions and what's going on between them and what's going on around them, you know, like, and we're able to get much further into these characters' personalities, and I've been really enjoying that, and I think that would be really cool for some of the other TVA members, you know, and like B-15, getting to know her more, Mobius, Ouroboros, you know, like there's tons of people over there that would be cool, or, you know, I mean, could just be there that we haven't seen because there's all these different floors of the TVA, you know, like that could make for a pretty good television show that's not necessarily starring a hero from the MCU, you know what I mean? Like, it could be a Marvel show, much like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where it's starring Phil Coulson. Like, was he an Avenger? Not really, you know, he was in a couple of movies before Avengers 1, and then he has this whole show that some people are like it's canon, some people are like it's not. I think the proper way to like tie it back into the MCU right now is, I think, through the TVA. I think that could work out very easily. But I can't wait any more time. I gotta bust into this box and see what TVA Loki is looking like. Alright, we have popped off the top of the plastic shell. Loki instructions down the bottom. Make sure you guys read those. You don't want to be messing things up. You want to make sure you go through them. Even though sometimes the instructions aren't all that helpful, you at least want to go through there and see if there's anything that you should check out in there that says, you know, hey, don't remove this. This doesn't come off. This is fragile. You know, there's stuff in there sometimes that is helpful. And then the other things that you need to look in there for because you're trying to figure it out aren't in there, so then you end up having to go to YouTube videos like this to try and figure it out. So hopefully I can be helpful to you. If you need help in any of your Hot Toys unboxings, there's tons of unboxings on the channel now. Over 60 figures so far. This would be figure 61 and 62, which is ironic because this is TMS 61 and 62 coming out this weekend. But not wasting any time, let's pull this Loki out of the box. He does have like these holsters going around his like shoulders that are kind of like a old school gun holster, but it's more like a sword holster maybe, because it looks like a sword would go through the back. The belt looks like it velcros in the back, so if you wanted to take off that TVA belt, nice TVA belt buckle, I like that actually. Taking off the plastic. The Tom Hiddleston hair looks really good. I would love to get a artisan Tom Hiddleston hair. He's got that same type of like slicked back, almost like the hair I have, but I always put it up in a bun. But you know, kind of like that John Wick hair. His other hair from Avengers 1 is even more slicked down in like tight to his head. But this Loki, I mean, as far as likeness, it's spot on. Tom Hiddleston is Loki. I love that. Right, he's got his sleeves rolled up, and you can see this very unsightly joint in his elbow. So I'm guessing in certain poses, yeah, like already that's looking better. You can pose it in such a way that you could pull the sleeve down over that unsightly joint in the elbow. There is also joints around the wrist, but as far as like the vein work and the forearm, that looks actually pretty good. Some of the most detailed forearms I've seen on any figure. But at this, you can tell this is still an old figure, because at this point, you know, they're making medical silicone arms that are all one shot that don't have any unsightly seams like this, you know what I mean? But this also feels like maybe a figure that they probably saved some money on, because, you know, it's a guy in a suit with Loki's head, and they probably already have multiple other figures with this Loki head sculpt. And this is just a suited character, you know, like if they ever come out with an Owen Wilson head sculpt, you could pretty much toss him on this same body with the TVA pants and everything, and then you could have a Mobius character, you know what I mean? And like, I don't know if this is a good figure or not. I like the way that the Sylvie figure looks better. But let's see if his accessories win me over. He does seem to have the same type of fire effects that she has, but maybe a little bit bigger. Almost like the fire effects that Dr. Doom comes with, but his are a little bit more swirly and evil. There is 2 Miss Minutes, one more disappointed Miss Minutes and one happier looking Miss Minutes. So I'll be able to put one of each on his base and on Sylvie's base, so I'll be able to use both of these. Loki base doesn't have anything too special, comes with a crotch grabber as well. Huh. It looks like these two, you know, like the TVA device, looks like it comes in 2 different pieces. I think that's how this is supposed to go, and it's like this little gold part goes into like the TVA device. I genuinely should read the instructions first. I'm just going through here and taking a look at some stuff. It looks like there's a TVA shock collar and a TVA computer. I wish there was a little desk so I could set him up like he's, you know, depressed at work. But yeah, there's a TVA computer with a little TVA Miss Minutes on there. The shock collar that goes on Loki's neck. Of course, he always has that because he's a prisoner. Ooh, the little like resetting device, and I think it comes with, yep, it comes with the same type of like plastic effect thing that like goes around this device to make it look like everything's getting reset. This is making me want to go back and watch Loki. Maybe that's what I'll do today. I'll go check out some Loki that I haven't watched in a couple of years now. Ooh, it says variant on the back. It says Time Variance Authority on the little badge on the front there. Brown jacket that he was wearing. I'll probably toss that on him. I think it will look okay. Interesting. Ooh, he's got a gold sword, 2 kind of dagger swords, and then a flaming fire sword. Yeah, that's probably the one I'll end up using, and he has a whole bunch of hands that we'll go through, but let's take all of the accessories that Mr. TVA Loki comes with. Let's lay them out on the desk in front of me here and take a closer look at everything that Tom Hiddleston's Loki has to offer. All right, everybody, we have Mr. TVA Loki and his accessories laid out in front of us, and he comes with a lot of great accessories. You can see Miss Minutes there standing on his base and a little computer with Miss Minutes on the screen as well. We'll take a closer look at those in just a second, but he comes with some great weapons like this beautiful flaming sword that I'll probably end up using in my final pose just because of how good that looks. And if you're wondering, in the instructions it says that there's a sword and then there's like this fire element and then they detach and go on to each other. And it looks like they ended up not going that route and just gave us a fire sword and a normal sword. And we'll look at that in a second. He also comes with this pretty great TVA jacket that looks like his sleeves are down, even though they're rolled up there. It looks like they're down when you put the jacket on, which is a nice touch. But he's got the TVA logo there. Not too much on the inside. It says variant on the back, and we'll definitely see what this looks like when we toss it on the figure in a second. Heading over to the hands here, on the left side, we have some just splayed out hands, but the fire effects fit really good into those little grooves there, like a lot better than some of the other hands have fit into the fire effects. And you can actually use like another one of these fingers, and it still kind of, you know, sits on there pretty nicely, not as properly as this hand, but, you know, you get a nice little fire magic effect, green magic for Loki, and you get the same thing for the other side as well, so you can rep both hands doing the fire effects. You have a couple of sword holding hands. This would probably hold the flaming sword because the normal sword is over here getting held by this hand, and just a normal gold dagger that I believe can go on the back of his little sheath on his, that's like on his shoulder straps there. We'll show that in a second as well. But nice little weathering damage and scratches on this sword, and I like the gold color on it. That looks kind of nice, and like the little handle there as well, little leather strap detail. Of course, he comes with two daggers, which is very Loki, but he normally has smaller daggers. So these are like, you know, a little bit bigger for him, but still more of his dagger and a smaller handle. And they come with more custom hands for him to be able to hold them like this. And then he comes with two not exactly similar hands. I mean, this could be maybe like he's holding something, or maybe holding Sylvie's hand or gesturing forward, and vice versa for this one. Maybe he's holding Sylvie's hand, maybe he's like reaching out, maybe he's just like, you know, relaxed down by his side, gesturing, I don't know. It does come with this hand as well, and then two fist hands that come on the figure. It comes with this pretty great TVA device that can fold up, and this little piece slots in right there. And, you know, that's probably like the little dial to swipe through the different times and stuff like that and how you activate it. It's got a little too fine print for me to be able to read, but I'm sure that little sticker in the middle there says something over here. But nice little detail. Looks like it has like this wood paneling in it. And, you know, I wish the screen had some detail on it. Like they could have probably just put like a sticker like if it was on, but it just kind of looks like it's off. And they do give you two of the same exact little TVA devices for Sylvie and Loki. So I might end up, you know, tossing one in one of their hands, or, you know, in their pocket or something, and have the other one maybe over by Deadpool in his little TVA portal, because he doesn't come with one of these little devices, and he probably should have. You got your two Miss Minutes. She looks a little angry there, and she's scolding you with her little finger pointing at you. And then like a happier Miss Minutes. But I'm glad that Loki here comes with two of these, because I'll be able to put one on Sylvie's base and one on his base and kind of have two Miss Minutes. And that definitely reminds me of the TVA, and, you know, I'm glad I now have a little Miss Minutes in my collection. But somebody did point out that you don't want to look at them from the back, because that looks terrifying. It does come with this like retro, old school, futuristic type of computer. It almost looks like a basketball stuffed on this like keyboard. But like the TVA was interesting because they're like trapped in the 60s, 70s type of vibe, but they're also, you know, able to go travel throughout any period in time. So they have like this older vibe to them, but also have this futuristic vibe to them. So I think they did a just tremendous work on the set design for Loki and the TVA. It was absolutely unbelievable. But you look like you get these switches on the sides and all these little buttons and a keyboard, and you got Miss Minutes on the screen there. I wish this like came with like a little desk setup to be able to like set up a scene where Loki is, you know,
working at the TVA desk or whatever, but not a big deal, but still kind of cool that this comes with the character. And it's cool that they give you Miss Minutes and the computer that, like, she jumps out of, you know? Like, that's so cool that they threw this little accessory in. They also throw in this little TVA power inhibitor device where they throw on Loki when he arrives at the TVA so that he can't use his magic or powers inside the TVA. But it does say danger, time replacement or time displacement, stay clear. It has this little thing that would be lit up red on the side, and it's got like this wood paneling on it, and it's got like this green color to it. In person it almost looked black, but with under the flash here it looks green. But I don't know if this will damage the neck, but I'll definitely try this out on the figure. And I don't know if he ever actually wears this with this outfit on. And you know, maybe there's like a custom 1/6 person out there that's making like the TVA prisoner jacket outfit or jumpsuit or whatever they were in when he does have this type of thing on. But yeah, pretty cool. Not a bad accessory. One of the last accessories is this little like TVA time replacement pruning device type thing. And you can put this little effect on the ground so it looks like you're setting off the time charge, and then it's, you know, doing its thing and resetting the timeline and pruning everything that just happened there that's not supposed to be happening. But I don't know if this is the highest of quality of things, but it kind of works perfectly with this little device thing. I'm gonna have to try out that look. But if you've seen this, this comes with both of the figures. This comes with Sylvie and Loki, and it is a TVA portal. This is how it goes, and it comes with these little tabs, and you fold up the tabs from the base and it goes into the little slots, and that's how this thing stands up. And you can put the base right here on top of this, and like, it looks okay, you know, like if this was my first TVA portal, I'd be like, it's flimsy and I don't know if I'm going to use it, but like, I get what they were going for. But when I've seen the TVA portal with the battling version Deadpool, this looks like a pile of dog shit. Let's do a little side-by-side portal comparison to show you what I mean. Now, what's really crazy is that they gave you this little background thing in 2 of their figures, right? There's now 2 Deadpool and Wolverine figures, and they only give you 1 of those bad boys. And what's even more shocking is that they're both off, right? Like, that thing has a light up effect in it that makes it look even better, but I'm just lazy and I don't want to go find my USB-C cord in the other room and plug that in right now, you know, and go through that effort. But this background, right? Like, it's supposed to be the same thing. It's wider, it's shorter, it looks worse, you know, like this looks so much more like the TVA portal than this ever could. You know what I mean? Like, this is a pile of dog shit, and I probably won't use it in my display, but I'll be sure to use this background display to get at least a shot of Loki or Sylvie going through the TVA portal. But this, garbage. Just looking at the last of the things that come with the TVA Loki, it looks like a little bit of a clock and Loki with his bendy horns in the Loki symbol for the TV series, Loki. And Loki up front there's got a little bit of green going around the edge for his like colors. I like that. And it comes with a crotch grabber, which is always helpful and useful. And always my preferred version of holding up your figures. I either like them to have no holder at all or a crotch grabber, because I find the waist grabbers just damage your figures. But maybe for a character like this it wouldn't be so bad, where it's just kind of cloth t-shirt. But looking at the figure himself, you can see those unsightly joints in the elbows. But if you go like that, you know, you start to disappear with the joints up here. They probably could have just made slightly longer sleeves just to cover that up even when the arms are down, you know, but maybe you can futz with it to cover it up, you know. So definitely something you want to play with. The vein work in the arms look really good. The seam around the wrist sucks, but it is what it is. The TVA logo on the belt is very nice. I wish the tie was a little bit longer so that remained tucked in, but it is what it is. That tie in the show is kind of always flying around crazy. And he's got some nice tailored brown pants and some black dress shoes. Nice thin shoes there, nothing too crazy, some little tread on the bottom. He does zip up in the back and Velcro on the pants and the belt in the back if you wanted to take those off, but I'm not sure why you would. This is also removable as well. You just kind of toss the arms back and slide the straps off. And this is where the sword would sheath in, which I have the hand still attached, but I believe that would sheath in like so, you know, so you could have a sword in the back of him, which might probably do just to complete the look when he does have this outfit on. But when he has the, you know, jacket on, I might take this off so that it doesn't have this unnecessary bulkiness underneath the jacket. Starting on the head sculpt's hair, you know, this isn't a artisan head sculpt, this is sculpted, and the hair looks really good. And like the waviness from the back, although you're not going to be looking at it from the back, it still looks really good, you know. And then as you come around, you get that nice flowiness around the ear, the flowiness up top, and then you get that beautiful Tom Hiddleston head sculpt. And yes, it does look like he's slightly older, but he's an older guy now. He's not, you know, 2012 Tom Hiddleston. He's 22, 21, whenever this show came out, you know. He's now current day Tom Hiddleston, not 2 decades ago Tom Hiddleston. At this point, it's damn near almost 20 years old. But my oh my, from every angle do I see Loki and Tom Hiddleston, and you know, maybe this could use rolling eyes, but I think the eye, you know, looks pretty good. My one thing with the head sculpts has been is that a lot of them have this type of expression where it's like more stoic, more stone face. You know, I wish they attempted to do a little bit more of a facial expression on some of the figures, you know. And I say that, but then there's people like Mars Toys Riddler, where his expression on his face is so crazy that you're like, I don't know if I'm going to use that, you know. And then the other head sculpt also has a crazy expression that I don't necessarily think looks good. So sometimes they go for the expression and it doesn't necessarily work. Like even the brown and tan Wolverine, some people hate that head sculpt. And you know, if you look at it in person, it does look weird from certain angles, but from other angles it looks okay. But the blue and yellow Wolverine head sculpt looks absolutely insane. So that's probably why people hate on it so much. But this is probably the best looking Loki head sculpt we got, and I'll definitely toss him next to my other Loki in the collection towards the end of this video, in the comparison section of this video. But I say, why don't we toss this Loki into some poses and see what kind of accessories I can get on him, and see what that jacket's looking like on him, and see what TVA Loki is capable of. All right, everybody, we have TVA Loki just standing straight up and down, pretty much how he comes out of the box. But I put his golden sword in his back holster sheath, and you can see as he spins around, he has very unsightly elbow joints from the back side, but who's displaying their figures from the back side anyways? And then I put his TVA jacket on him, and he has his hands out in front of him. Just imagine like there's handcuffs there and he's being arrested by the TVA with that power inhibiting collar around his neck. And then, of course, Loki's signature daggers down by his side, like the one scene from the show where he whips out his daggers. And then I have him with the TVA portal remote in one hand, like he's about to open a portal, and he has his other hand in his pocket with the TVA jacket kind of swooping back. And then I have him with the magical green fire elements in either hand with no jacket or harness on. So just if you wanted to know what he looks like without the harness or jacket on and just the shirt, tie, and pants. But the magical effects do look pretty good. And then the final pose I have here, Loki and Sylvie kind of standing on the same base together side by side. Miss Minutes down by their feet. And Sylvie's just in like her casual fist pose with her sword in her sheath. And Loki has the flaming sword equipped, but also the golden sword, because they give you two swords. Why not have one in the holster on his back and then have the other in his hand? And I do think that that fire element sword looks really good in person. It might not look great great on camera, but in person it really looks like it's on fire, and it's just like a cool looking sword, and I don't think I have anything else like that, so definitely gonna rep that one. And although the elbow joints on Loki look terrible, and like the wrist joints look terrible, but the forearm detail and the vein work on the forearms does look really good. So I'm just gonna have to really dial in the pose to see if I can hide that elbow joint and wrist joints as much as possible. But side by side with Sylvie is exactly how I'm gonna have them in my collection. So instead of doing a figure comparison with Sylvie, because she's already on the table, why don't we toss another variant? Because now we know what those are. Loki does come with a jacket that says variant on the back of it. So why don't we toss him next to a Wolverine variant? So looking like they're stepping through a couple of TVA portals, and the one behind Wolverine is the one that comes with Sylvie and Loki. But I just wanted to get some type of clip in here that showed that the real TVA portal, the one that comes with the battling version Deadpool, looks so much better than the plastic piece of crap that comes with Loki and Sylvie. Is it acceptable? I mean, sure, it looks okay, I guess, behind Wolverine there, but just look how the light up ones, how it looks extra lit up at the bottom and then it fades as it goes to the top, and just how it looks like actual thick plastic instead of this clear see-through junk, you know, and the light up effect once it goes through it makes it look even better. And like the little blood effects on the base itself, like look at the little plastic bottom that the thing stands on. I mean, everything about the battling version Deadpool's TVA portal looks absolutely immaculate compared to the one that they came with. But side by side with another variant here is one of my only variants in this collection. There isn't a whole lot of multiverse characters that we've seen. Like maybe the only one that we've really seen is like Multiverse of Madness, and like we didn't get John Krasinski's Fantastic Four or, you know, any of the members of the Illuminati, but we probably got a couple of different Doctor Stranges from that movie, whether it's Zombie Strange or what. But these figures probably don't go the best together, so why don't I toss Mr. TVA Loki next to Avengers Endgame Loki, but from the outfit from 2012. Alright, so we have the Lokis together here in Avengers Endgame Loki with his Avengers 2012 outfit on. And I do have him set up in the pose right at the end of Avengers 1 where Thor takes him back to Asgard as a prisoner, and he has the little muzzle on his face and the handcuffs and the Tesseract down by his feet, which he would pick up and end up in the TVA Loki Disney Plus series, and would eventually then go on to meet Sylvie. So technically that Avengers Endgame Loki right there in the 2012 Avengers suit is the exact same Loki as the TVA Loki here, but there is some time difference between the two, right? Like Tom Hiddleston back in 2012 versus what, 2023 or whenever this came out, 2021 maybe. You know, it's damn near a decade of playing this character, and now he's coming back again as this character in his own show now. And let's be real, Loki season 1 was tremendous, but Loki season 2 was also tremendous, even though they had to deal with the Jonathan Majors of it all. And just how that story went for Loki ending up on the throne, now that is a Loki that I need to get for my collection. The God of Stories Loki sitting on the throne, you know, collecting all the stories and holding the threads of time together, in creating, you know, a new timeline that isn't a flat circle that loops back around on itself, but yet a Yggdrasil tree that grows and dies and decays and branches fall off, but new branches grow and leaves grow. And I'm sure that this TVA Loki and that God of Stories Loki is going to be a huge part in Avengers Doomsday. I mean, he just has to be. And, you know, I've always been a sucker for that Avengers 2012 outfit with the big bendy horns. I do think that the TVA Loki head sculpt is so much better, and I might as well try that out on the Avengers 2012 body. Oh, wow. So as you could see, the TVA Loki head sculpt on the Avengers 2012 body looks absolutely exceptional. But I apparently didn't do my due diligence enough, because this figure, before I had popped the head sculpt out, it still had the plastic around his neck. So, you know, this was one of my earlier figures I unboxed, but, you know, you got to do better than that, brother. Take the plastic off the figure before you put it on the shelf. But you can see the 2012 head sculpt on the TVA body doesn't look quite right, doesn't quite fit into the neck connector quite right either. But if you did want to get the TVA Loki and put the head sculpt on this body, it looks awesome. But I think let's toss those two on the shelf and see what they're looking like in their new home. All right, Loki and Sylvie placed on the shelf here, and that was much more of a hassle than it should have been. Every time I placed them, one of them fell. It was a hassle. But maybe if I had the flight, you know, crotch grabbers behind them, maybe they would stand easier, or maybe it would be harder to get them in there because I have shit like this with the plastic tray. So now this platform's able to slide under there. But I have Black Widow, Kate Bishop, two Hawkeyes, pretty much besides Black Widow there, pretty much Hawkeye, Loki, WandaVision. So this is kind of my Disney Plus shelf at the moment. A little bit of Falcon Winter Soldier right here, you know, Shang-Chi, Loki again. So you got Loki right below him, next to Thor, my Deadpool Wolverine figures, Batman. The Doom shelf has changed because I moved Stanley and Thor back there in front of Ragnarok, Hulk again. That's kind of how they were for the longest of times. And then when I got Dr. Doom, I kind of made this shelf with Hulk in the background, just the Avengers and Dr. Doom. But now it's the Avengers, Dr. Doom, and the Ragnarok figures in the back. And I still have room to expand in the back left corner back there. Artisan Joker, and I believe that's what, Mark 8 or Mark 6, I believe, Iron Man? 4? I don't know. One of the Mark Iron Mans. It was a while ago. But if you guys see here, I got some more Iron Man figures with gantry, Iron Man Mark 5. So more Iron Man figures to come in the future, and definitely more Marvel and DC figures coming your way in the future. But that's it today on Loki and Sylvie. I love their accessories. I love the Miss Minutes and the TVA portal device and the fire effects and the magic effects, and two really nice looking figures. And I have the classic Loki from this Disney Plus series, so maybe I'll toss him behind them, and maybe I'll have to get like President Loki or whoever else is from the Loki Disney Plus series, or maybe I just get like Kang the Conqueror and put him behind them, who knows. But definitely some room on either side of them to expand and behind them. But as far as right now, this is my Disney Plus shelf, and I'm not too mad at it. So I really appreciate you guys coming on by. If you have any questions for me, or if you have any comments or anything you guys want to chat about, drop those down in the comment section below. Or you can message me on my other social medias. Links for those down in the description below. Big Cam, 2Gs with the Big, pretty much anywhere, and you can find me. But if you made it this far in the video, I highly appreciate you, and the best way to support the channel is liking this video, commenting down below, subscribing if you haven't already, and hitting that bell so you don't miss next week's figure unboxings, and another 1/6 scale Marvel or DC figure will be coming out next weekend. So make sure you guys stay tuned and you guys don't miss those, and you get the notification when it comes out. Once again, thank you guys so much, and I will see you beautiful people in the next one. Peace!